Hello, this is Todd Shank from Premier FPL, and I'm going to be doing my Gameweek 12 daily fantasy tips here for the Fantasy Premier League. Um, all right, so to start out, I have my fixtures planner up here just to get an idea of which teams might have the most favorable fixtures for this weekend. Um, I would say that right now, looking through it real quick here, Bournemouth at home, Brighton at home, Burnley at home, Crystal Palace at home, and Manchester United at home, and Watford at home look like the best fixtures to look at. Now, part of this is going to depend on which of the daily fantasy sites that you use, which of the daily fantasy tournaments you're going to be participating in. Now, in the past, I used to do Mondo Goal, but with some of the changes here in the States, since I live in Pennsylvania, I'm no longer able to participate in that. So, yeah, I'm actually no longer able to participate in any of the daily fantasy unless it's free, then I'm good to go. So, I think what I'm going to do, just to kind of walk through some of my picks here, is go with the DraftKings free 200 player just to see how that goes. So in the past, when I did do mono goal, I made a decent amount. I usually tried to play the lower ones, do like the dollar or free entry ones that just earned you a couple dollars here and there, but did do pretty well with that. All right. So again, if you want additional tips for the official game, or maybe just looking for general tips, you can do my Game Week 12 Fantasy Premier League tips and check that one out. All right. So looking at stacks here, we can actually look at my premiersoccerchat.com where I did my Game Week 12 predictions just to get you an idea of the way that I see some of these matches going. If you're looking for clean sheets, Bournemouth and Huddersfield might be good chances. Burnley is definitely one that I see a clean sheet. Liverpool, a clean sheet. Possibly West Ham and Chelsea as well. Manchester United, good chance of a clean sheet there since they are at home against Newcastle. Who knows how Rafa will make things in that one. I predicted a 3-2 win with Watford over West Ham, but I'm not sold on that. That could be another good one to look at Watford for a clean sheet, or at least something a little bit better, more than just giving up the 2 goals. All right. So let's go back here and take a look at this. I would say, looking at some of the stacks here, probably want to look at stacking some Liverpool players. Trying to think here. Liverpool players, some Crystal Palace players for some of the lower tier. So actually, I'm just going to kind of go through this, see what we want to do. I'm going to start out with Mo Salah here. The problem is he is listed as a forward in this one, so it depends on what you're playing. Again, this is also another good one if you do play Togga, their Perfect 11 game, a good place to look at some of these players. Sadio Mane, I don't know that I really want him I definitely don't want him as a forward. But Kevin De Bruyne, he does pretty well in this format, more so than the official game. But his price tag is a bit higher. Leroy Sané might be a better one to go with in that area. And go back here. Nick Pope is one I think I do want to start with him. He has done very well for Burnley since coming in for Heaton, and fill in my defenders. Now, they have a tendency to stay on top of things pretty well in daily fantasy, so I don't know if I'll be able to bring in Burnley players. Matt Lowton, Ben Mee is probably more of who I want. So I would say you probably want to look at stacking some Burnley defenders, maybe a midfielder or two there. Crystal Palace would be a good place to pick up some of their midfielders. Wilfried Zaha, save you some room to maybe bring in Sané. And Anthony Martial is one who I might actually recommend. I don't know exactly how United's going to line up as far as Martial and Rashford, but both of them have been getting points, whether or not they start or come in off of the bench. So it's a good bet to go with either one of them. Paul Pogba is one who actually might be returning this week. I forgot to put that in my previous Game Week 12 preview, but Paul Pogba is a good one to look at bringing in for if you're playing in Togga or one of these daily fantasy games. He might be one to take a risk just because he is a bit questionable, may or may not play. So just remember Stanislas is out. See here, they do have these marked pretty well. I did forget to mention Aaron Moy is another one that's questionable, may or may not be playing this weekend. So, anyway, I don't need to really go through, I'm not going to go through and fill out an entire one here right now, but just wanted to take a look at some of the players that might be good to pick up in a daily fantasy game. Like I said, I don't play daily fantasy too much, mostly because I'm not able to based on where I live. So it's not quite as much fun to do the free ones. But if you want to look at Burnley, I think that's a good place to start. Huddersfield and Bournemouth, another good one where you can get some of these lower priced players, but could net you some good points. Aaron Moy has picked up several points in this format. It's going to be tough to know whether he's going to play or not, but that is the nice thing about the daily fantasy games is you have a little bit more time to be able to fill your team in. That's also the great thing about Togga's Perfect 11. You don't actually have to submit your team until I think 2 or 3 minutes before kickoff. That would include so you have the early kickoff of Arsenal and Tottenham. Say you don't have any players from them. You have mostly from these 10 o'clock and later teams. It gets to be 9:50 or what would that be, like 2:50 UK time, and you realize that one of your players, say Sadio Mane is not playing in that match, you can sub him out, put somebody in who actually is playing. So say Coutinho is coming back, you want to put him in instead of Mane, you can go ahead and do that for Togga's Perfect 11. So really fun game to play. So I definitely recommend getting into that. I would like to do some videos for that format, but unfortunately they don't have it available on the desktop. It's only available as an app. But you can always go over to Togga, check out. I do have 2 articles up this week, one on Mkhitaryan and Lukaku and some of their returns for this season. I do show how basically their returns have declined significantly since Pogba left, and I am hoping that they will return to form once Pogba returns. And the other article I have there is breaking down Burnley's fantasy assets, so you can go over there and check both of those out. Would appreciate that, getting some views on there. And also my fixtures planner at Premier FPL. Check that out so that you can get ready, prepare ahead of time for some of these matches. But like I said, I think some of the big stacks for this weekend are looking at Bournemouth, Burnley, and Crystal Palace for some of the lower price players. And if you're looking at the upper end, Liverpool, Man City, always a good pick. Some of the Manchester United players, Lukaku, maybe even Matic in there. See who else is starting for them. Now, Tottenham and Arsenal, that's always a tough one, this North London derby. Kane is one who I think I would probably pick regardless of fixture for him. So Kane is one you might want to look at bringing in. I don't know if I would really recommend Ali because of his temper, and I could see him getting a yellow card in that game. I could also see him getting a goal pretty easily. Eriksson might be one to bring in. Um, I still do not trust Alexis Sanchez at all, so I'm not really going to recommend that you bring him in. Uh, could maybe look at Lacazette. I don't know. Tottenham has a really tough defense, and I'm even questioning my 2-2 prediction. I guess the main reason that I look at a 2-2 in this is because it is a North London derby, and who knows? You kind of throw the rule book out as far as derbies go. But again, stacking Liverpool players, definitely a good way to go. Chelsea might be a good. This might be a good weekend to start to look at them again. If Hazard's back, he's probably a good one to pick up, regardless of who they're playing there. So, anyway, so that kind of wraps up my daily fantasy tips for this week for Game Week 12. It is a lot of fun to play these games. It's just more fun when you can actually make money on it. And since I can't, I usually try to. I don't really play them quite as much, but I do get involved in Togga's Perfect 11 game. So you can always check them out too. All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you watching. If you could subscribe to the channel, make sure you get those updates. And you can also get me on Twitter at Premier FPL. Thanks for watching. Good luck and have fun.